offer each other. So Mr. Worthington will be available with a microphone if there are any questions for our panelists.
It sounds like, after listening to all five of y'all speak about, the way y'all teach, you're right, Harvey, we've been doing this for about 30 years, coming to this educational forum. It seems like every 10 years or so you have a method teacher come up, whether it be Ballard or the one plate and swing or second tilt or whatever. It seems like y'all tend to be a little bit more versatile in one way. Could you just maybe talk about the method teachers, or do you see some validity in that, or do you like the way you're doing it?
Well, I always go back to, I remember psychology, Psych 101 in college, and probably the only thing I remember from Psych 101 in college is when the teacher put on a third, and then she wrote down psychotherapy, a third of the people get helped, a third of the people don't change, and a third of the people get worse. And I think if you have a method, there's probably some truth to that right there, just as there was in psychoanalysis. Is that if you have a method, the third of the people that's what they need, you're going to help them, and they're going to think you're the greatest thing in the world. A third of the people aren't going to get better for whatever, myriad of reasons, and a third of the people are getting worse. And I think those of us who teach real people day to day, who have lives other than golf, and are not the world's most talented athletes, okay? And golf, of course, now, even more so than when I played the tour or whatever, are getting the athletes as good as any other sport, are getting the athletes, and they're getting taught younger. So not only are they the athletes, but they're learning the game. Danny Bell made an exception. They're learning the game at such an early age, it's now also instinctual. It's one thing to learn the game and the technique, it's another thing to have that instinct. And most great athletes have done their sports since they were little. You can use the 10,000 hour theory out there, and they do it. And so to me, that's what happens with methods. If it's the right method, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. If it's not the right method, it can be dangerous. And we don't teach, like I say, that level of athlete. We teach people who have physical ailments, who have bad hips, who sit in an office all day, who don't get out very much, they're stiff, whatever. And we've got to tailor our lessons to them, not to our theories. Okay, we pretty much all know what they need to do. If they slice the ball, hook the ball, shank the ball, top the ball, whatever. It's pretty evident what has to be done. It's what can this person do to overcome it. If a guy can't get into his left side, you got to move his ball back. You got to put his ball back there and let him fall away and hit it. That's just the way it is. You can't stand there and just keep forcing him to try to go to his left side. He might be able to do it a handful of times on the range, and wow, that's great, you think you're a genius. When he gets out on the golf course and walks for about 2 holes or plays 3-4 holes in his golf cart, his legs are dead. He's not getting back in there into that left side again, and he's going to be topping the ball and pulling it dead left and shanking it and doing the sort of shots you can hit from back there. You need to match him. So if you're a stack and tilt guy, how are you going to teach that guy to stack and tilt? It's not going to happen. Okay? One of the things I've learned with Johnson, and I watch these guys on the tour every week when I go out there with him, and I like to watch all the swings. When he's waiting for him, I watch all the things. One of the things that's instinctual, one of the moments of truth to me in golf swing is the backswing. It's hard to teach somebody a backswing. Backswing is that guy's start move. And you can influence his backswing with the setup, okay, with his grip, stance, and alignments like Tom taught. But you can't really start that guy's backswing for him by telling him to do this and do that. You want the club to get out more inside, you put the ball forward, you aim him a little left. You want to get more inside, you move the ball back, strengthen his grip, put it a little closer to his center of his stance. That's how you do it. You don't tell him to take it in, pick it up, do those things. And I think method teachers, unfortunately, as I said, when it's right, it's really right. But when it's wrong, it can be a disaster. We cannot have that in our clubs because we just don't have that level of athlete that can overcome our prejudices and still become great players.
Mike Difflin.
Tommy, nice talk. I know you teach on an indoor studio in Manhattan, and it's amazing that you can play at the level you do. And I know you try and bring people out. I want to talk to Tommy and the other teachers. What percentage these days of playing lessons or on-course lessons do you give? Because it sounds like that percentage is growing, because we all understand golf's not played on AstroTurf net.
I try to get out of the city, you know, take a kid out of the city, get them out for the summer. But a lot of it is the students, you know, we're in the business of having the students enjoy the game. And I think if you just use a narrow approach to it, they're not going to, you know, you might have X amount of students that like to practice, and you help them practice and have more fun on the practice tee, do the things that they want to do. But in the end, most of the people we teach want to play golf and have fun playing. And I think that if you don't get out on the golf course with them occasionally and see what they're doing, connect to their games, that you're doing them a disservice. You're probably doing your business a disservice, because you're not really showing that you care about what they do out there, that you're going to take the time to spend the time with them. And it is a great way to connect with your students, I think, both from a professional standpoint of getting them better and understanding the situational aspect of the game and understanding how your lessons are affecting them on the golf course. But, you know, you get to hang out with them. You get to talk to them, you create a bond, you know, when you write them an email or do something, you can, you know, just relate to them better, not only their golf game.
Would you have some sort of a rule of how many lessons you would give them on the range and then go on the course? And anybody have anything like that?
Well, I might just take the other side for a second. I know that Bobby mentioned, Joe mentioned knowing your student. I think we're at a pretty interesting time in golf right now. I know, you know, time constraints are important. I frankly see more and more members and students coming out and all they want to do is hit balls. They want to take a lesson, they want to practice, they want to hit balls. Playing the game is actually a very small part of why they're at my club and playing golf. You know, I just see that more and more where people are coming out and they just have enough time to hit balls for an hour and a half, and that's golf to them. So I think it's important to know who your student is. Unfortunately, I think the game's going that way for us. We're very lucky. We've got the 16th, 17th, and 18th hole right there at our driving range, so I can take them quickly off. I can see the 15th hole. I can drop them right over to 16, take them out and play the last 3 holes. Unfortunately, 3 of the harder holes on the course, but at least I get them out on the golf course. And to your question, yeah, I would make sure that you know, I don't have a steadfast number, but I would say based on how we're doing and what we're working on, I wouldn't imagine, you know, every 3 or 4 lessons I've got somebody out there on the golf course.
Any other questions? Bob, they can hear you without a mic.
Yes, you can. Last week we attended a private place and all that, and it had nothing to do with the individual city golf club, but how much more in terms of fitting do you spend on more of the teaching aspect of it, or the fitting, or if you know you can't fit, you know, if you know you can't fit the guy, you just go through the motion. Any thoughts on that?
We had a big tailor-made demo day, I guess a week and a half ago Sunday. Biggest day we ever had. Nick and I sat there, and when I got away from that, I mean, we had a great day, but it amazed me how many of those became lessons. While, you know, people want to hit this new driver, they want to hit that, and I think it's always a balance. You know, you're out there, they want a new driver, you go out there and you realize they need a lesson, and before you know it, you know, they can't hit a ball and it becomes a lesson, and it really isn't the right time necessarily to sell them a golf club. You know, when they're, you know, you're kind of pieced together, and I think the danger in fitting with flight scopes and stuff, which we've gotten, as I can see, is going to be a big asset to us, is standing there and they swing and they swing and they swing, and then you fit them for a golf club based on that one swing that they do well, rather than their golf swing. And I think you always have to measure, all right, do I sell them the golf club that they want right now for that, or do I try to bring them down a little and say, listen, why don't you come back next week and let me spend a little time with you and get you doing, you know, a couple of things, and then we'll put you back on the flight scope and we'll get the numbers. And I think that's a danger that's out there lurking now with all these machines, because machines are giving us these absolute numbers, okay? But like I say, when somebody only does that swing once after they've hit 40 balls in a row on the range, it may be doing them disservice fitting with that. I also sat and watched Nick do this once. Maselli, now Nick's a bully, he's a big, strong guy. And he hit some irons, he did this, and then he started hitting drivers, and all of a sudden, after about 20, 25 balls, the guy at Hot Sticks tells me, take a look at this. And Nick had gone from 111, 112 miles an hour, all of a sudden it was down to 110, all of a sudden it was down to 108. Now after about 25, 30, 35 drivers, he lost 5 miles an hour club head speed. We're out there last week and I've got these members hitting balls, hitting balls, hitting balls. They finally get to me. They're exhausted. Okay, the numbers aren't real because when they play golf, they hit a shot, they get in a cart, they walk, they hit another shot 5 minutes later, another tee shot 5 minutes later. They haven't, quote, swung this golf club 25 or 30 times as hard as they can. And the numbers we're getting really aren't real. Sometimes they're trying as hard as they can and they're swinging less than their normal speed because they're exhausted. It seems like it ought to be easy to swing a golf club 25 times, but it really isn't.
Now seems like an important time to note that Titleist runs an awesome demo day as well. Any other questions?
Any thoughts on this next wave of, along that same point with the technology? You look at Golf Channel now, they're promoting, send us your video. You could have members sending their videos on their iPhones to us. Any thoughts on this next wave of, is this a good thing? Certainly from a teaching, from a marketing standpoint, sure, you can reach a lot of people now. Send me your video, maybe I can look at thousands now. But any thought, is this really going to be an effective means? Is this something you want to promote? Is this the direction you want to go?
Me personally, I don't think so. I think you could look at someone's swing and you could probably, obviously, pick up some things that you think could be better. But to me, stick and ball, I got to see the ball fly. And there's got to be direct communication every time that ball is struck, or every few shots that ball is struck, and to help that student really understand. I work a lot on balancing ball flight, so I'm a believer that if somebody's slicing the ball, which we deal with the most, I'm not looking to try to get this guy to slice it less. And I don't care if a player fades the ball, draws the ball, that's a preference. But I'm not, it's controllable is what's important, so and I keep going back to ball flight. But, if a guy slices the ball, I try to get him to hook it, and if a guy hooks the ball, I try to get him to slice it, period. And then I try to balance it in the middle. I just find that the fastest way to go. So I don't believe that technology is really going to be that helpful. But that's because I'm a stick and ball guy.
I obviously am too. The only thing I can say with someone like Johnson, who I know his swing 10 years and I know it, and he can use his iPad and send them to me, and we've got some backup, and we can kind of look. He can tell me what's going on. When you have a relationship with somebody and you know they're swinging in and out, and they speak your language, I think it could be useful. I don't know that I can give a lesson to somebody and put my name on it just if they send me a video. I mean, I could give them something to make it look prettier, to make it look more conventional, but I don't necessarily believe I can make it look any better.
But I do think it's important to note that, we're in a little bubble here in the Met section, and our members are members of clubs, and, I'm a V1 Internet Academy instructor, and I get lessons sent to me, and not one of them has been at a grass private range. Every single one of them is from Middle America, could be even from Europe, and there are somebody in a cargo shorts and a t-shirt hitting balls off a mat. And if you really look at the number of people that have access to PGA Golf Professional for a private lesson, it's pretty small. And so, while we may not think it's great, it's coming, and it's out there now, and it's only going to get bigger. People are sending videos, they want instruction. We all know this, it's why they buy magazines, it's why they watch the Golf Channel. So whether we think it's great or not, it's coming, and we better be ready for it.
One more quick question over here.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something that I witnessed last week with Augusta, and some of you may be out as well, watched on the place for a month. But I noticed that out of all the players there, Tiger Woods as a coach was the only one on the range with the camera, who used the camera, and having Tiger Woods on specific rules before he went out. Everyone else watched their two shots. Obviously, some of that coaches there came in the ball flight, words of encouragement, reassurance. The question to the coach on the panel there is, you talk
Well, I can speak to that. Johnson wanted me to come to the Masters last week, and I told him under no uncertain terms I was not coming. He's been playing great. I didn't need to get in his way. And as much as we work together well and not, I just thought it was better for him that I not be there intruding upon his time and prepping, and I don't say something the wrong time, the wrong way, because I don't care how good you are and how much you know. You just never quite know what move they're in, you know, on a high level, you know, racehorse like that, to, you know, just look at them that way, that you could throw them off. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, you're looking at a guy who is technical, and that's how he wants it presented to him. And most of those guys, especially like Butch Harmon, I think, you know, at the end of the day, you know, there may have been different reasons why Tiger stopped with Butch. I don't think it was his level of play. You know, Hank speculates that it was just, Butch was just saying, you're already the greatest player in the world, let's just stay there. You know, and I remember a line from Payne Stewart. Payne Stewart won the U.S. Open, and they decided to, you know, fix his game. And after about 3 or 4 years slump, someone finally got to him and realized you already are the U.S. Open champion. You don't have to learn how to play like one. You already do play like one. And he won his next U.S. Open not 6 months after that. And I think that's a tendency with players. I think their coach's responsibility is, when is enough enough? Just because they want it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be, you know, helpful to them at any particular time.
Folks, I want to, those were some great questions, and I want to thank our panelists for a great job, and I know that I can speak on their behalf and say if there are further questions, you can contact them at their clubs. They're willing to share their information, and we certainly thank them for doing that today. A round of applause for our panelists.